Everybody, thank you very much for your attention for the first three presentations. We're going to be starting up now with our last presenter. It's Mr. Toby Bird. Mr. Bird is a UNH alum with over 26 years of municipal and federal law enforcement experience. Mr. Bird started his law enforcement career with the Hartford Police Department. After initially working with the Patrol Division, Mr. Bird was transferred to a specialized crime unit across the Hartford SWAT team. In 1999, Mr. Bird was hired as a special agent for the United States Department of Justice Drug Enforcement Administration, or the DEA. Mr. Bird gained significant experience in the federal hiring process by working with DEA's Human Resources Office. Mr. Bird has served as the management chair during numerous national hiring events, having interviewed and processed hundreds of applicants. As a resident special agent in charge, Mr. Bird has also managed internship programs. Mr. Bird worked collaboratively with the college and career development officials to recruit interns and to identify and mentor candidates that were eligible for hiring. Mr. Bird.
Good morning. So today I'll be discussing a successful interview, how to interview. This is something that you guys are at the beginning of this whole process, and all I'm trying to do is get you here and give you a few tips to help you successfully navigate these interviews and get what you want as far as internships, careers, or whatever it may be. It may be for a college entrance interview or something like that. However it may apply, these are going to be some tips that'll help you. So the biggest question, this whole thing is going to be angled towards you finding a job, okay? So what do you all think employers are looking for in an employee? What do you think? Yeah. Someone that does what they're told? Like obedience? Okay. What do you think?
Friendly, personable people.
Okay. Okay. What do you think? Okay. So, they did a survey of the Fortune 500 companies, the most successful companies in the world. They sent a survey out, all the top colleges and universities, and asked those companies, what are the things you're looking for in an employee? What traits, what characteristics are you looking for in an employee? And they came up with this list. They want individuals that that can handle all these things right here, or the majority of them. Leadership, critical thinking, communication, resilience, teamwork, global and cultural awareness. So you all are sitting here like, well, you know what, I'm off in high school, I've never had a real job, or maybe I just worked at the ice cream shop or Dunkin' Donuts. I don't have any of those things. That's where you're wrong. Each one of you has these things, if not all, or most of them. All right, any athletes in the room? What do you play?
Football.
Football? What position?
Receiver.
Receiver. Right? You look at this core competency list. You got any of those things?
Yeah.
Yeah? Critical thinking. You see they lined up in cover 3, or cover 2, you know as a receiver where you need to go, where is not a good place to go, right?
Yeah.
How long you been playing for?
7 years.
All right, so critical thinking you got down pat. Communication, right? That part of it? Communicate with your quarterback, know where to line up. Teamwork, that's a given. Resilience, right? Preparing yourself for the season. You got that, right? Okay, anybody else? Who else in here? What else we got? We have a band in here? Anyone? No band?
Dave, raise your hand. Dave. Todd, Dave.
Don't be shy, guys.
That's your name, Dave?
Julian.
Julian. Okay, so, band. That's what? President of the band? Okay. I don't know anything about the band, right? I'm actually also a football coach at Cheshire. But I do know that the band is out there for 5 or 6 hours every night. They're out there when we're going home, the football team, and when we come in the morning, they're out there practicing. It's hot, they're out on the turf, and they're working just as hard as we are for the football players down here. Okay. So you don't have to just be an athlete. All these different things come into play with these core competencies. You all have them. The key is how to express these things in an interview when you're trying to find that opportunity. That's the key. You all have these. You got to figure it out which ones you have and be able to express them to someone who's looking to hire you. So the first thing, you're going in for your interview now. First thing you want to do is you want to research the organization or the agency. I'm going to ask you, what do you know about it? Why do you want to work here? And if you don't have an answer, oh, I don't know, I just need a job. No, that's not an acceptable answer, because the kid next to you, the kid that I'm interviewing after you, is passionate about it. He really wants the job, and he's done his homework. You have to do your homework on the organization, on the hierarchy, what they do, how long they've been around. Inform yourself. Review your resume and your qualifications. What's your name? CJ. CJ did his resume like he was supposed to do. And he gave it to someone else to look it over like he was supposed to do. Right? That person may have made some changes and gave it back to you. You now have to review that information as well. Because you're going to turn that resume in and you want to know that everything that's on there you've done. You don't want to have someone else amend it and you not review it to know what's on there. Right? Because the employer is going to go directly off that resume when they're asking you questions. Right? So you want to make sure that you know your stuff. Preparing examples of your qualifications. All right, so we got any first gen in here? Yes, no? No? All right. Preparing examples of your qualifications, that means that you want to have in your mind which of the core competencies you have. And you want to know, hey, I don't care what they ask me in this interview, at some point I'm bringing up these points. All the good stuff that I do, all the good stuff about me, regardless of what they ask, at some point I'm going to massage these things into my answer. Now you can't be as overt as politicians are. Like they'll just, you ask a politician a question, they'll just completely disregard what you ask them and answer something else. You can't do that. You have to answer the question, but you have to work it in there. If you speak several languages, you want to make sure that that is something that you mention in that interview and early. Okay? Practice answering the common questions. Why do you want to work here? What are your goals? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Those things. You have to have some type of answer preloaded and prepared. At least an idea of what you're going to say. One that people get tripped up on all the time is, what is your weakness? What is your greatest weakness? And people just get dumbfounded by that question. What's your greatest weakness?
Mine?
Yeah.
Probably like communication.
Communication?
Yeah.
Okay. So, if you're going into a job that is heavily reliant on communication, you may not want to say that, right? So when giving that answer, what's your greatest weakness? You don't want to air yourself out. Like, oh, my greatest weakness is sometimes I don't feel like coming to work. Well, you're not going to get the job if you answer that, right? So my go-to weakness is, you know, I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and sometimes I expect that type of work ethic out of other people, which is unrealistic at times. So I'm not throwing myself under the bus, I'm answering a question. I think you guys call it like humble brag, whatever it is, right? You gotta do something like that, but don't kill yourself with that answer. They're going to ask you that. Have something ready, at the ready when they do. Appearance. This is going to apply for professional jobs, entrance interviews, and things like that. You want to wear a suit. Conservative dark suit, white shirt, conservative tie, clean polished shoes, basic not flashy, attention to detail, having your hair cut, beard trimmed, clean iron clothes, no excessive jewelry, covering up your tattoos, if you have them. You don't want anything that's going to distract the interview. Or anything that's going to, like, I don't want to pay attention to the tattoo in the middle of your forehead because I'm not paying attention to what's coming out of your mouth. And that's what I need to be focused on. So if you have something that may be a distraction, listen, you guys can wear whatever you want. This is just my advice. I'm not telling anybody to change themselves. However, understand that there are certain biases that people may have that you're gonna that are real that you're gonna have to deal with, right? If you're having an interview and you got big gauges or something like that in your ears, you may want to wait and put those on after you get the job. Take them out, pop them out in the car for the interview, have the interview, and then put them in on the first day of work after you get the job. There's no harm in it. That's just my suggestion, right? For the young, so for the men, a suit is, it's not like a blue blazer and khakis like they wear at Notre Dame, West Haven. A suit is a jacket and pants that is made out of one piece of fabric, right? So get one, you're gonna need one, all of you, right? Tie, conservative shoes, like I said, lace-ups or loafers are fine. For the ladies, pants or skirt suits, fine. You want a low heel or flats. You don't want the 6-inch or 8-inch type heels. Now, also, like I said, these are for professional interviews. This is kind of industry specific. Like if you're in music production or something like that, you don't want to walk in there with a 3-piece suit on. They're going to look at you like you're crazy. You know, you're in the data, computer stuff, those guys are a little bit dressed down a little bit more. So there are exceptions to this based upon industry, all right? This is for professional jobs and professional interviews. So when winning the interview, you want to answer your questions honestly and directly, give examples of your skills and experiences. You want to be confident, not arrogant, calm, controlled posture, eye contact with the interviewer, smile, be concise yet powerful in statements. You're going to walk in and you're going to shake that person's hand. You're going to step in, you're not going to stand here flat-footed and try to shake someone's hand. You're going to step into it, same foot, same hand, eye contact, introduce yourself, try to remember their name. The more you can refer to them by their name during the interview, that's going to help you build that rapport that you want. The pitch. This is tell me about yourself. Guaranteed they're going to ask you this. 100%. 100% they're going to ask you this. So the way the interview process typically works, you apply. You'll get an email back. Yes, we have an initial screening we need to do with you. So are you available on this time and date? Yes, so that's either Zoom, they may call you in or something like that. That part of the interview process is just to make sure that you're a human being and not some kind of spam or bot or something like that applying for jobs. Once that's done, is typically when you sit in a panel interview, which means there's going to be employees from that agency asking you interview questions, right? That's the second step. The step after that is usually, so if you make it past that step, someone in management interviewing you, and then they'll probably make the call whether or not you got the opportunity. But tell me about yourself. It's a 30-second pitch, right? So, young lady right here. Who owns Facebook?
Actually, don't know.
Anybody know?
Mark Zuckerberg.
Zuckerberg, right? So, let's say you work at Facebook and you work in the mailroom. You have aspirations to be Zuckerberg. That's the job you want, right? You want to be one of the big wigs, making billions, right? You currently work in the mailroom. So you're in the elevator, you got your cart, you got your letters, folders, all the stuff. Door opens up, Zuckerberg walks in. And he turns to you and goes, oh, tell me about yourself. You've got 30 seconds between the time that door closes, that elevator goes up and opens, and he walks and goes upon his way to try to sell yourself for potentially the opportunity of a lifetime, right? You have to use that 30 seconds very carefully, and you have to get all your good information in those 30 seconds. So how do we do this? We start off very basic. Past, present, future. Name, where you're from, what you're currently doing, and what your aspirations are, right? Now, if you have anything special, you speak 4 languages, you know, you've traveled to 5,000 countries, or you've done this, you've done, you know, you've worked in the Peace Corps, something like that. You have something special, you want to try to insert it in there as well. But this pitch, you're going to need your entire life. I don't care where you are. It may change a little bit as your goals change and you get a little older and you get a little bit different experiences. It may change, but you're going to always need this, wherever you go. All right? Tell me about yourself. Hood. Hood, yeah.
I don't even know. I don't know where to start.
Name?
Oh, where, my name is Nathan Slowly. I live in Winter CG. I'm a senior at Joseph High School. I play soccer. Trying to get back into baseball. And I'm going to probably become an engineer in my future.
Where would you like to go to school?
I'm going to get
Okay. All right.
as a doctor, I'm going to do an transfer.
Okay. So you heard what he just said, right?
Yeah.
What does that tell you about him?
So he's currently living in sick and just answer the basics of the same.
But it gives you an idea of who he is, right? Okay. How do you think he did? How do you think he did? Yeah. Good? You don't know?
I think he did great. I think he did good.
I think after some prompting, you did okay. Right? It was fine. But the good thing about this is something, like I said, you can actually write this out and practice it. But you have to have that in your pocket at all times. Where do you want to go to college? Johnson & Wales. So let's say one of your teachers is a Johnson & Wales alum, and there's a college fair here at Ford High School, and Johnson & Wales is here. And that teacher brings over the recruiter from Johnson & Wales and introduces you. And that recruiter says, well, okay, it's nice to meet you. Tell me about yourself. You can't stutter and stammer, right? You have to be able to come right off the top of the head and nail that. And that is going to impress her, that you were prepared and ready. You can hold the conversation, right? So you have to have that ready right across the board, okay? Like I said, it's something you can actually write down, 3 or 4 sentences, memorize it for now, and then at some point, it will come natural. All right? Anybody else want to do one? Anyone? Yeah.
Babson College for business.
What's that?
Babson College for business. You're supposed to like to tell me about this.
Oh,
That's what
tell
he
me.
meant.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, well, what we doing? Tell me about yourself.
I'm so sorry. Usually at a job fair, I tell them like the school I go to, and then I say.
No, I don't want usually. Tell me about yourself.
Like do exactly what Nathan did. Okay, I'm from Joseph A. Foreign High School. I helped an AI company generate 200 plus users. I'm looking to be a marketing intern at another company, and I aspire to own a business one day.
Okay, well, who are you? What's your name? What is it?
Elizabeth?
Okay, so you have to lead with that,
Oh.
right? Because you're going to say all those great things, you're going to walk off, and I'm going to go, who's that? Right? You have to do it in this format. Past, present, future. Your name, where you're from, what you're currently doing, what you aspire to do. All right? So the next step is when you're in that panel interview, they're going to ask you what's called behavioral questions. These are interview questions that assess your actions and reactions given a professional setting or situation. So the way to answer these questions, there's a certain method that you have to use to answer these questions. We typically use the STAR response, but I can make it even simpler than this. They're going to ask you a question about how you handle situations. You have to answer it using a 3-step process. What was the situation? What you did to resolve it? And how did it end? What was the result? Situation, what you did to resolve it, and what was the result? That is how you have to answer these questions. Okay? So, right here. Tell me a time when you dealt with an unruly or aggressive individual and how you handled it. Yeah.
Alright, one time in a soccer game, I was running and the goalie, he actually tackled me, football tackled me, which you're really not supposed to do in a soccer game, but it was alright. And I was just I don't even know, because he was a lot bigger than me, he weighed a lot more. So I kind of just pushed him off me, and I tried to get away.
He's a bear and you're a rabbit.
Child.
Okay. All right. So he tackled you, you pushed him.
Yeah, and then basically he backed up and he knew he was wrong. So I was like, all right, so get out of my face. And then it was a penalty, and then I don't know. I think we scored it. Yeah.
Okay.
It was against Lyman Hall. They lost.
So with that question, the employer's trying to figure out your ability to problem solve. And your ability to communicate and effectively problem solve, right? That's what they're getting at. So remember, when you're answering those types of questions, behavioral interview questions, situation, what you did to resolve it, and what was the ending. Okay, what was the result? I'm short on time, so I'm flying through a little bit. Okay, so now you're done with the interview. You want to have 2 questions ready to ask the employer after the interview. That shows that you're engaged and that you're interested. 2 questions ready in your back pocket when you walk in. At the end, you want to shake everyone's hand. If you can repeat their name, great. As soon as you get back to the car, you're looking up who interviewed you. You're sending them a nice email. You're personalizing that email. Okay, you're going to put whatever you said in the, I'm the soccer player from Foreign. You personalize it so they know exactly who you are, aside from just your name. All right, send that immediately after finishing your interview. Most important slide. And I'm sure I am not the first person to tell you all about this. I'm sure your parents, your teachers, everybody's told you about it. Delete, erase, scrub, or lock down your social media before you apply for a job. Apply, all right? That is the number one thing that will get you disqualified for a job right now, currently. Number one thing is social media. I interviewed a kid, bachelor's degree in criminal justice, master's degree in investigations, master's degree in national security. Kid had $400,000 in student loans. He really needed that job. We checked his social media before he came in for the interview. We let him come in to tell him that we're going in a different direction because of his social media activity. Fast forward, I'm on a separate trip. I'm flying into JFK. I get there, call up the Uber. Who shows up? This kid. $400,000 in student loans, and he's driving an Uber. He can't use that. He'll never work in law enforcement. He'll never get a job in the field. He spent all that money to study him because of bad decisions on social media, right? It will follow. So I'm glad I'm able to talk to you all at this age, because usually when I'm talking to the kids at UNH, it's too late. Delete, erase, scrub, lock the social media down. Okay, is that the bell? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Turn in your surveys today. Remember,